So Devonte Graham is the best player on the Hornets right now. 18-7. The main thing is the three-point shooting. He's shooting 8 threes a game at 40%, making about 3.5 a game, and he has had some big shooting performances this season. He's had a 9 for 16 game. There have been some 4 for 10s, 4 for 9s. I mean, his first 2 games of the season, he combined to go like 12 for 16 from outside. And to me, this makes Devonte Graham's potential pretty damn high. I mean, if this is going to be a dude who's attempting, I don't know, like 10 threes a game, and his shooting is real, which it does seem pretty real to me, then that's a 20-something point scorer in today's NBA, it just is. He's taken threes the moment he's got a chance, whether it's his defender backs up just a little bit, or if you don't step up on the screen, if you don't get around the screen, he's pulling up in transition. I mean, the sample size is not huge, and he didn't do much in his rookie season, but if this is who Devonte Graham is, then, I mean, do we have to look at him in the potential boat of, I don't know, somewhere between Steph Curry, who's the absolute best at that kind of thing, and I guess like Jamal Murray, who would be on the bottom end but still pretty good? Like, is Devonte Graham somewhere in the middle there of 3-point shooting point guards off the dribble? I mean, hell, Jamal Murray is still only attempting like 5.5, 6 threes a game. Devonte is unconscious with his 3-point attempts. So that, to me, is the biggest thing with him, and it just makes his potential so high, because if he can master off-ball stuff and the Hornets can really just run him around off-ball screens and get him moving like that, that could be huge. I mean, I know the spacing assist thing becomes kind of a meme with Steph Curry, but Devonte Graham could be a huge spacing assist guy. Now, the rest of the roster still matters. I mean, they're definitely building something with the Hornets. I mean, Rozier has been okay. I mean, I think he's basically Reggie Jackson 2.0, so there you go. But he can shoot. PJ Washington can shoot. Granted, he has tapered down the shooting a little bit since that crazy opening game. But there's no like black hole shooters here, or black hole non-shooters here, I guess. So if you can surround Devonte Graham with that, it's going to make it very difficult to defend these guys. And even so, Devonte still has to prove that he really is this guy. I mean, he could just be having a pretty hot stretch. But if he really is going to be the super shooter, then, I mean, just the potential really is limitless if you're going to be this good from 3. I mean, if he really is 40% on 8 threes a game good in his second season at 24 years old, then that's a really, really good player. So we'll just have to see with that. He's got other things, of course. I do want to talk about his efficiency, because I think it's a really interesting thing. So he's shooting 41% from the field, which, yeah, not good. But he's still a very efficient player overall. He's shooting, 57% on true shooting, and I think it's because, number one, the threes are so good. 2, he's solid from the free throw line. 4 free throws a game, 79%. And maybe he could end up being, taking more free throws as his career goes along. There's a chance that he's going to be another one of those like Kyle Lowry, Paul George dudes where the field goal percentage is not good, but because he's so good on threes and free throws, he's still a very efficient offensive player. Of course, his playmaking matters in that whole thing as well, and I'll talk about that in a second. But if we could talk about that efficiency a little bit more, do I think he has potential to be a big-time free throw attempts dude? I don't know. I mean, he's not crazy athletic, but do I think he could shoot, I don't know, like 6 or 7 free throws a game? I think it's possible. I mean, looking at some of his layup attempts this season, he isn't scared of contact. It seems like he goes into the paint without too much hesitation, and maybe he could be some Isaiah Thomas who just kind of shoots himself at the rim and just ends up finding contact somehow. Or maybe like a Lou Williams, just the short dudes who manage to get to the line off of, just attacking the rim enough. Don't know there. I'm a little more confident saying he's just going to be a great shooter than I am saying he's going to shoot a crap ton of free throws in his career. But that matters, because if that's not the case, then he might be a little more reliant on his mid-range, and his mid-range stuff has been... do I say bad? I mean, his long twos are at 40%, which is not great, but it's not as bad as like shooting 21% on like 13 footers. So I don't know, maybe he needs to develop a floater game. Maybe he just needs to attack the rim even more and not pull up kind of at all. Maybe he'll just end up being an incredible pull-up, like 20-foot shooter. I don't know what's going to happen with all that. But the foundation is still the three-point shooting, and of course, just shooting enough free throws. I mean, he is pretty good when he gets to the rim. He's shooting 60% at the basket, and I do think his handle and his speed off the dribble are good enough to where we can expect that enough from him. But again, I just don't know if he's got the savviness to really draw contact like that. He might. I mean, he still made a pretty decent jump with his free throw shooting. Just his attempts from year 1 to year 2, so we will see, I guess. But I think he's good enough on drawing contact right now to where we can be like, okay, that could be something for him. Let's talk about the passing. Seems pretty good. I mean, if you want the advanced stuff, 34% assist percentage, 18% turnover percentage. It's definitely not Chris Paul, but he's got time to figure that out. You know, looking at some of the passes he's had, there's one play specifically that I thought was really good. He was getting double teamed, and he whipped a bounce pass to the opposite wing to get it to, I think it was like Batum for an open shot, or whoever. Has Batum like even played that much? I don't know, but it was somebody. And he's had a couple of those where he's been double teamed and he's just made the right play to somebody. So I'm pretty intrigued with his passing. I don't know if he's going to be some dude who's predicting what the defense is going to do every possession, but he seems to be pretty good at reading what's happening on the floor and then making the right play. You know, there's not I'm not saying this never happens with him, but there's not too much of, what do I do right now? Oh crap, I got to pass it out and now the possession is dead, right? There does seem to be more of like okay, you're helping with this guy, well that means this guy's open, that type of thing from Devonte, which is about all you can ask for. I mean, the expectation of a point guard nowadays is not to get a bunch of assists, it's to be a big-time shooter, which it seems like Devonte is. So if he can just clean up a few things, mainly maybe just getting a little better at drawing contact on layups, developing a bit of a floater, and maybe cleaning up a few mid-range shots, because that is the one thing that is holding his percentages back right now, then this could really be an awesome offensive player. Somebody who, look, I'm just saying, like, the chances of him being a 25-point scorer are, I don't know what they are right now, but they're definitely not 0%, which everybody would have said it was going into this season. So that's great progress. Is he the most improved player? He could be. I mean, Brandon Ingram and Pascal Siakam are definitely making cases, and probably other dudes that I'm not thinking of right now. But Devonte's got to be in there, man. I mean, this is a guy who went from, is this dude even going to make it in the NBA, to this could be the foundational offensive piece of the Charlotte Hornets for the next decade. So, yeah, dude's doing it. And because we do need to point this out, he is making below $2 million a season for the next 2 years. So that gives the Hornets some flexibility. They do have cap space this offseason. Now, as far as how attractive of a destination they are, well, that's a different conversation. But if they threw a pretty payday at someone, whether it be Brandon Ingram or Bogdan Bogdanovic, if the Kings mess around with his contract too much, it's mainly kind of those two. I mean, there's been rumors for Andre Drummond, but I don't think they should explore that. I'm just saying, maybe they could pair up Devonte with Brandon Ingram if they gave Ingram a max contract. And then suddenly it's like, wait a minute, Ingram and Devonte and PJ Washington, well, the Hornets have something going on here. Of course, the Pelicans are probably going to re-sign Ingram, but still, Devonte is good. So if the Hornets want to get a little more aggressive before they got to give him a whole bunch of money in his restricted free agency, then we could see him do something this offseason.